Welcome to the Thoughtful Leader podcast. My name is Ben Brearley. I'm a leadership coach and the founder of Thoughtful Leader. The Thoughtful Leader podcast is all about short, sharp leadership advice because thoughtful leadership is good leadership. Welcome to episode 204 of the Thoughtful Leader podcast. In this episode, we are talking about habits and leadership habits in particular and how to create good leadership habits. Obviously, there's thousands of different good leadership habits you could create. So in this episode, I'm going to focus on the key ingredients for setting and sticking to a habit so we can lead more effectively. Let's get into the episode right now. Positive leadership habits are important for leading people effectively because they enable leaders to create a consistent pattern of behavior which helps them to be more reliable and dependable. Now, this reliability and dependability goes a long way to building trust because people know what they're going to get when they work for you and they can expect you to show up for them consistently. But as we know, creating or changing habits is not an easy thing to do. Healthline says that it can take between 18 and 254 days to create a habit. James Clear, who's a prominent habit thought leader and author, writes that science tells us it takes about 66 days to form a habit on average. So either way, that's quite a relatively long period of time to form a habit. And it's hard to do that because we often get knocked off course. If you do something for 1 week, then forget about it the next, that's not a habit. A habit is created when the behavior is embedded and repeated for a long period without you necessarily needing to force yourself to do it each time. So in this episode, I'm going to introduce 3 important ingredients that I believe are critical for creating leadership habits that last. And this is based on my own habit forming experience and from working with my coaching clients. So firstly, what type of leadership habits are we talking about? Well, obviously there's lots of different ones you could put in place. So some common examples might be asking for input or feedback. We know that asking for feedback from our team helps them to feel more included, valued, and engaged. It also helps you to improve your skills and reduce your blind spots. Many leaders run on autopilot and forget to ask. Setting a habit can help you to consistently engage with your team and keep the communication lines open. You might also start making a habit of prioritizing, because setting priorities is useful as a direction-setting tool, and without priorities it's hard to negotiate your time or to know when you've been productive. Another habit might be coaching. Instead of telling your people what to do, you might create a habit of coaching them instead. This positive leadership habit can help your team grow and become more proactive and self-assured. You might make a habit of delegating. If you can make this one of your leadership habits, you can consistently empower your team and help to manage your workload. And the last example I've got for you is you might provide autonomy as a habit. Micromanagement is no fun for anyone, and sometimes you need to show restraint to stop yourself from micromanaging your team. You can develop a positive leadership habit that helps you to empower and provide autonomy for your team instead. So they're just a few that I think come up quite often when I'm working with leaders. And just note that leadership habits are sometimes about taking consistent action, but they may also involve not taking action. For example, let's say you'd like to have your team step up and be more proactive. To do this, you might create a leadership habit to show restraint instead of jumping in and saving the day when something goes wrong. And over time, your team will learn to fend for themselves and solve their own problems. Okay, so let's get started on the 3 ingredients I think you need to create good leadership habits. I've found that these are the key to success in creating the motivation to make a change and sticking to your guns to maintain that positive impact. The first ingredient is a compelling reason to change. Many leaders have the best of intentions. They want to be better leaders, to manage their time more effectively, to speak up more, or to better support their teams. So they start strong, but then find themselves being derailed along the way. And the problem is, it's easy for you to say you want to do something. It's much more difficult to execute on it consistently when the going gets tough. And that's why you need to have a compelling reason to change, which is a strong why that keeps you focused and on track. A common story we hear often is the one about the life-changing event that makes people want to change. You know, the heart attack that makes people want to get in shape, or the car accident that makes people want to live life to the fullest. Now, I'm not saying that we need these catastrophic events to make a change, but we do need something. So here are some good questions to ask to get you thinking about your compelling reason to change. The first one is, what are the consequences of staying the same as I am now? And the follow-up to that is, are they really that bad, or can you continue to put up with them? Or you might ask yourself, what am I getting out of staying the same? And the answer to this question might be something like, well, I get to avoid having a hard conversation with my boss. So the follow-up question is this really serving me, or is it actually holding me back? In other words, is it really a benefit, what you're getting out of staying the same, or is it actually a bad thing? The next question I would ask is, if I didn't do anything, will I regret it later? And how much? Or is this habit something that will help me move closer to my future goals? You could ask yourself, will this habit help me to be the leader or person I want to be? Or lastly, will this habit help me to show up with integrity? Now you get the picture. You really need to dig deep and find out why this really matters to you. And if the answer is, well, it doesn't really matter that much, then you'll find it very difficult to create positive leadership habit and make a change. And what we really want here is we want a situation where it hurts more to stay the same than it does to make a change. In other words, if we stay the same, we'll feel really bad, but if we make a change, we might be uncomfortable, but it's better than staying in the same place. The second key ingredient here is a strategy to execute. And this is probably the most obvious thing, but it's quite important. To make a meaningful change and set up a positive leadership habit, you need to know what consistent strategy or action you want to put in place. For example, if you wanted to improve your ability to focus, you might consistently schedule a meeting room for yourself for an hour each day to work on important tasks. Or you might choose to respond to emails in batches, turning off notifications and only checking at specific times during the day. Whatever leadership habit you are trying to create, you need to know what action to take that will get the outcome you need. Without this, you can have all the good intentions in the world, but nothing that will get you the results. So how do you find out what strategy or action to apply? Well, there's a bunch of different ways you could do this. You could, read more of my articles or listen to all the episodes of my podcasts, I guess. It's a good way to go about it. Or you could speak to people who are successful in the area you are trying to change and find out how they work. You could work with a coach or mentor to develop options that you can try out. You could attend training courses in the area you're interested in improving, or simply research online to see what best practice advice you can find and implement. Because obviously without the strategy, you've nothing really to do to turn into a leadership habit. Now, the third crucial ingredient to create a good leadership habit is support. So to embed leadership habits, support is critical to ensure you can stay on course. And this comes in many forms, and habit forming can come unstuck when you're trying to go it alone to change the way you lead, just doing it by yourself. Leaders often work in complex environments and deal with many different stakeholders. Leadership habits can be difficult to change if you are in an unsupportive environment where you are constantly trying to fight for change by yourself. So time management is a great example. If you are trying to adopt new strategies for managing your time, it helps to have a supportive manager or co-workers who can respect your efforts instead of trying to disrupt them. No leader works in a vacuum, so just trying really hard to make a change by yourself may actually be an impossible task. So there's several different types of support that you can use to help you change your leadership habits, and the first one is supportive people. So these are people who know what you're trying to achieve and are willing and able to help you get there or to champion your change. They may also hold you accountable for sticking to your habit. These people could include your manager, your colleagues, a mentor, a coach, or your own team members. And one common problem I see occurs when leaders attend some sort of training and return to their workplace with new ideas without supportive people to help them get up and running. And without supportive people around you, all your good intentions may result in zero benefit. The next thing to think about are supportive tools. So tools may be software systems that can help you implement your habits. This might be about organizing yourself better with note-taking tools or using portable devices to capture information when you're on the go. Or you might use tools like Rescue Time, which is a software system to help you focus and be more productive. You could use features of your email program to put specific messages in a certain folder or to categorize your key tasks. Perhaps you'll use a workflow tool to help you follow certain steps in the same way each time. So there's obviously thousands of tools which may support you in implementing your leadership habits. You just need to find the right ones for you. And a subset of this is the use of reminders. Reminders help you to remember what you're trying to achieve and why it's important to you. And one of the tools that my own coach recommended a while back was this app called Randomly Remind Me, which sends you a customized message at random times of the day, and you can configure the time frame within which reminders are sent. So this type of tool can be useful to jog your memory and help you to refocus on what you're trying to achieve. And you don't really know when the reminders are coming because they're random and will catch you by surprise. In a similar way, physical reminders can also be very useful. Post-it notes in prominent places can be a great refocus tool, which many of my clients have used so that they can remember to stick to their guns with certain issues, or to maintain a more positive frame of mind, or to think more strategically, whatever they were trying to work on at the time. You could also wear a ring or a wristband, and these can also remind you of your goals when you notice them. So these reminders can be a great way to complement the supportive people that you enlist to help you on your way. So you probably already have a bunch of leadership habits that are serving you very well, but I'll bet there are some aspects of your leadership that you'd like to improve on, and creating new leadership habits can be a great way to help you do that consistently. So be sure to keep in mind these 3 important ingredients when you're trying to implement your next positive leadership habit. And I'm really interested in what sort of habits you want to set. So let me know in the comments on the show notes page, thoughtleader.com/204, what leadership habits are you going to implement to improve the way you lead? So I really encourage you to pick an aspect of your leadership you know you'd rather be doing better, and try to make a habit of doing it a different way, a way that is going to improve the way you lead your people. If you need some help or accountability on this sort of stuff, feel free to get in touch through my contact page on the website, or you can book in a complimentary coaching session with me. You can do that on the show notes page, thoughtleader.com/204. And just a reminder that if you like this podcast, it'd be amazing if you could leave a positive review on your podcast app of choice. There's a link on the show notes page to be able to do that on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. If you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. It helps me get the word out about the podcast and helps more people listen to it. Thank you for listening today. I hope you can create a positive leadership habit and make a shift in your leadership, and I'll be back next week.